1 year ago today, on April 10th, 2015, I published this video.
It's currently 3:20 a.m. I finished ordering my Apple Watch.
At 3 o'clock in the morning, moments after I pre-ordered my Apple Watch. And 2 weeks after I published that video, I received a 42mm Space Gray Sport with a black band in the mail and uploaded my unboxing video that same day. 1 year later, I'm still really enjoying the watch, and I have a lot of thoughts and ideas for improvements and stuff like that on the watch, and I have a lot of interesting things I've noticed about my usage habits. So today's video is my 1 year review with the Apple Watch. So let's get started. First, let's start off with the watch faces. One of the best things about Apple Watch is the watch faces, and I switch between the utility, modular, and simple watch face all the time. But I never use astronomy or time lapse despite how much I want to and how much I like those watch faces. I simply refuse to use a watch face of any kind that doesn't show the weather on it. That's how much I love the weather complication. There's something really great about walking outside and just lifting your wrist to find out the temperature. I love that. I so often would just walk outside and be like, oh, I wonder what the temperature is. Now I don't have to wonder. I just lift my wrist and boom, there's the temperature. It's great. I love it. So with the lack of complications on the astronomy and time-lapse watch face, I'll just have to go without using those because my weather complication is just more important. I also love having the activity rings complication. Those are really motivating, and every time I lift my wrists, I have the desire just to fill those. Because they're empty, and you're just like, oh, I gotta fill those. I want to do it. So I actually find that those are motivating, and I really like having them there. As I said before, I'll switch between 3 watch faces, and I really like doing that because it's kind of nice to switch it up sometimes. I really love the way utility and simple look, and I love watching the red second hand move across the watch face. I really think that looks cool. And you can change the color of the second hand, which is kind of nice. It gives you the customizability there. But for me, I picked the color red just because I like it, and I like the way it looks. I think it looks pretty cool. And the watch faces themselves are pretty customizable. I have them how I want them, but there have been times where I just decide, you know what, today I want to change it up a little bit, and I change the watch face a bit, and I really like being able to do that. It's really quite nice. I like modular, but I don't really know why I like it, whereas with utility and simple, I know, hey, I like the way these things look. Modular, I don't know, I just kind of like it. I would say that I like it because I have the bonus complications, but I don't think that's necessarily true because I usually leave a spot open on utility and simple. But you have 5 complication slots on modular. I fill them all when I'm using modular. The only thing I wish I could do is have the seconds displayed on digital watch faces like modular. Apple says this is one of the most accurate watches in the world, so I think I should be able to have the seconds displayed on the watch face. It's just something I like to have. Alright, so next let's talk about apps. I think the first thing that we should start with apps is the app screen. I call it the app screen, but you may find yourself wanting to call it the home screen through force of habit of owning an iPhone. But once I started using the Apple Watch for a while, I really started to feel like it was just an app screen and it felt nothing like the home screen. With the home screen, the idea behind it being the home screen is you have to go there. It's the home of the device, right? With the app screen on the watch, I can go a whole day without ever going to the app screen, and I do that on purpose. So because you can go without using it necessarily, I don't feel it's a home screen. It's just kind of an app screen. And I think that says a lot about it. Now, the app screen does look pretty cool, but functionally it's pretty bad. Trying to rearrange apps on the app screen just isn't a thing that happens. Even when you're trying to use the iPhone app to make it a little easier, it just doesn't work. It's not something that works well. Because trying to organize apps on the app screen is like trying to organize drops of water in an 8-ounce glass. Once you move one drop out of the cup, all the other drops of water have to come and fill its place, right? So when you drop that drop somewhere else in the glass of water, all the other apps move away from it. Well, it's like the exact same thing with the app screen. If you try and move an app, all the other apps move in to fill it, messing up all of the order of all the apps on the entire thing, right? Even though Apple tried to do it where only this one moves in and that one moves out, no, it doesn't work. It messes up all the apps. One day I was trying to move an app from where it was defaultly placed to the other side of all the apps, and I dropped it halfway through, and that was just a nightmare. It messed up all the apps. I ended up just removing every single third-party app, trying to get the stock apps back in order, and it took forever. The app screen needs to be completely reworked and rethought out. And from just using the app screen, I don't feel that it's very efficient because I tried to make it so I don't have to go there. It's like somewhere I don't want to go. I don't necessarily know why. I just kind of feel like the app screen isn't somewhere where I can just go in, tap the app, and be done really quickly, unless I have that app very close to the core center of this entire thing. So I will usually try to get to apps through complications or through the glance or something else like that. Some apps I just flat out don't use. Actually, most of the apps I just don't use. I get to the weather app when I need to, either by tapping the weather complication. Alarms, I do have to go to the app screen for. I put that very close to the center of my app, so I just push the digital crown and it's right there. I know it's there, so that kind of works for me. And it's only once a day, so it's really not that bad. I don't need to set alarms all the time. The workout app is the same thing. I don't use it every day, and sometimes I have Siri start the workout if I don't need to set a goal or something like that. But it's very close to the center, so it's there, and I don't need to go swiping around the entire app screen to find it. The activity app I get through the complication. Timers, I have Siri set timers for me, and then I put the complication on the watch face so I can see it. Calendar I get through the complication on the watch face. ESPN is one of the only third-party apps worth using for me, and I get to it through the glance only, so I don't have to go to the watch face and try and find it. And that's pretty much it. The only other app that I had used for a little while was an app called The Martian, and it was a game, and it was actually really nice on the watch. And it was a really good game, and I really liked it. I'll leave a link to it down below. Notifications on the watch are one of the best things about it. If you're not looking at your phone that second, it's really nice just to be able to lift your wrist and see the notification right there. I also like the taps a lot better than the phone vibrate or the phone sound or something like that. It's a lot nicer to have the taps in my opinion. And I actually really like replying to some messages on my watch. Like if it's just going to be like a yes or no answer, it's right there in the automated replies. And dictation I sometimes use, but usually I'll just use my phone at that point. But for some messages and stuff like that, I'll just reply right on the watch, and I really like doing that. Glances are pretty cool, and I actually really like glances. The settings glance is kind of like the control center on the watch. The phone ping is extremely helpful for finding my phone. I use that all the time, just, around the house to see where I left it, and that's great. The AirPlay icon was added next to it in watchOS 2, but I still have found no use for it. It's always grayed out. I have no idea when it would be, used. I've never used it before, and I honestly don't think it should be there. The heart rate glance is really cool. I love swiping up to see what my heart rate was the last time it's taken it, which is never longer than 10 minutes ago. And you can just get your current heart rate by just tapping on it. So I really like the heart rate glance. The weather glance is an extension of the complication, I feel. It's really nice, and in some cases I feel like it's better than the actual weather app. I have the activity rings in my list of glances, but I never find myself swiping up just to see those. But it's not something I go to. It's just something that I like to see as I pass other glances. The now playing glance is really cool for changing the volume of my phone or skipping ahead or going back in a podcast. So that I really like. It's pretty handy. Calendar glance is really nice if you have multiple events in one day. Shows you when all the events are. And lastly, I have world clock in my glances, but I don't really swipe up just to see this. I just it's like the activity glance. I have it there just to see it. The clock glance looks pretty cool, but it's not something I really need to use. The only thing I want from glances is the ability to scroll through them with the digital crown. I much rather scroll through stuff on the watch with the digital crown than swipe. I feel like I could get from one end to the other end of the glances a lot faster if I could just move the digital crown really fast. And I really hope to see this in a future watchOS. Now, the only issue with this may be that the now playing glance uses the digital crown to change the volume, but I really don't think this would be an issue because if you're not on the now playing glance and you're scrolling through, you could it would continue scrolling. And if you're on the now playing glance, you would obviously just have to swipe away first before you can start scrolling with the digital crown. Animated emojis are really cool, and I used them a lot the first few days, but now I can't even recall the last time I sent an animated emoji. And honestly, I don't know why. I think the animated emojis are really cool, and I really like them, but I just don't find myself sending them. I usually use the automated messages or default messages I have entered in there, but I just never hit the animated emoji button and send one of those. And come to think about it, it's probably because I've completely forgotten they're even there. I just don't think about them. I send messages normally. I use emojis on my phone all the time. I just don't find myself using the animated emojis on the watch. The friends button on the watch I think is actually kind of interesting. Pressing it pulls up friends that you've put into this list, And for each one of those friends, you can either start a call, send a message, or send a digital touch if they have an Apple Watch. And what I found is I don't start calls from either my phone or my watch, so I don't use that. And I've never started a message from my watch. I hit the reply button on notifications, but I'll never go to the messages app on my watch, and I'll never go start a message from the friends button on my watch. And digital touches, you have to go to the friends button to go send those. But what I found about digital touches is they're really only something that I use when I'm bored. It's not this thing that revolutionized communication in any way. It's kind of cool, but I really can't draw. It's really hard to communicate through that. It's really just like stick figures, and then you just send a bunch of taps just because, it's kind of cool. But the reality is I'm not sending a spreadsheet of Morse codes that I've come up with to my friends to tell them how I'm going to be communicating through taps on the watch. The heart rate thing is kind of cool. I do use that kind of often, and I find that people send me that kind of often because just feeling the heart rate tap thing is kind of fun. But other than that, there's no real reason behind anything I do in digital touch. It is there for just complete entertainment, and it's only entertaining if you're really bored or something. Honestly, I wish I could make the friends button do something else. I don't know what that would be. Maybe open like the workout app or something, or have like a different functionality altogether. But if I could do that, I probably would opt in because friends button is just not something I use. Time travel is a feature I find myself using pretty frequently to see the forecast in the future. So I think that is really cool. I really like that. Fitness tracking is one of the main reasons I got a watch, and it's the biggest reason for why I love my Apple Watch. Workouts on the watch are awesome. I love seeing how far I've gone or how many calories I've burned, and I also find it's really nice to see the halfway point message when you're trying to reach a goal. And at the end of the workout, you get a really nice summary of the whole workout, including your average heart rate and how many calories you've burned and the distance you've gone. And it shows you the updated activity rings to show you where you're at now. And I also love that it counts my steps whether I'm doing a workout or not and figures out how far I'm walking or running in that. And then it sends all that data to the health app on iPhone, which is pretty nice. And one of my favorite things is when you receive the notification on Monday morning that summarizes the whole week with a total of how many steps you walked in the entire week, because I find that pretty cool. And one of the very best parts about the watch is the stand goal. For stand goal, you have to stand up and move around for at least 1 minute every hour for at least 12 hours a day. I'd love to reach 24 hours of stand in one day. I'm sure other people have done it, but that's besides the point. Before having an Apple Watch, I'd get stuck sitting in one place for hours at a time. If I'm working on something at my computer, I'd be programming or editing a video or something, and I just forget how much time is passing, and I just wouldn't move from that spot until I was done doing whatever I was doing. But now with these stand reminders, I actually find it really nice and really helpful. Just so I could get up and, I go get a glass of water or something and just move around a little bit. And I actually find with programming, it's pretty nice because if I'm working on something and I have like a problem and I'm trying to figure out how to solve it, being forced, well, not really forced, but being told to, stand up and go walk around for a minute is actually pretty refreshing. And I actually find I solve a lot of problems just by taking that walk and sitting back down. So I really like that. The only thing I want from fitness tracking on my watch is swim workouts. As a swimmer, I swim a lot, and I lose so much activity credit on my watch, and it hurts so bad when I look at my activity rings and it says I didn't do my 30 minutes of exercise, but I know I've been swimming for 3 hours straight. And I also think it'd be really nice to have those workouts to support things like average pace and how many calories are being burned and average heart rate. I also think it'd be really cool if the swim workouts had a race mode where it wouldn't start tracking anything until you leave the starting block, and then it would stop when you finish the race and stop at the wall, because then you would have the time that it took you to finish the race, and then you'd have all the average pace and everything for the entire swim. And I think that'd be really cool. You wouldn't have to mess around with like stopwatches to figure out the time or touchpads or anything like that. And of course, all your data would be saved into the activity app. So that would be really nice. I really hope I see something like that in the near future. Honestly, if Apple came out with another watch tomorrow that did that, I would go and get one right away. All I want is swim workouts, and that would completely complete the watch for me. I would love that. The watch itself, I feel, needs to get a lot faster, though. The fact that a thing like opening alarms can take seconds to open is ridiculous to me. And it's not just alarms, it's everything on the watch. Sometimes alarms opens right away, but I feel like everything on the watch is really inconsistent. Sometimes I can open something right away, sometimes it takes forever. And that's really frustrating. You really don't know what you're getting into when you go and try and open something. So I feel like the watch as a whole could really benefit from a faster processor. And when you try and do anything with an app on Apple Watch, you see the loading circle a lot. So I feel like the watch as a whole can really benefit from being faster. I do love the watch hardware though. I love the way it looks and I love the way it feels when you're wearing it. Right now I own 3 bands, a black sport band, a red sport band, as well as a third-party black Milanese loop. A review on the Milanese loop band will be linked down in the description below, and I switch between all these bands frequently because I really like the way they all look and feel. The bands themselves are really comfortable and I really like the way they feel. Oftentimes the watch feels so light I actually don't even feel it on my wrist at all. And this is one of the reasons I really like the sport watch, and I don't think I'd want to get a stainless steel watch. I really don't want my watch to get any heavier. I really like it being this light. I also really love the way it charges. All I have to do is drop it onto the MagSafe charger and it charges wirelessly. And when it's on its side charging, it goes into nightstand mode, which I really like. This is what I use as my alarm clock, and it's really nice. Although I feel like the alarm needs to be a lot louder, because even at the maximum sound settings, it can be too quiet for me, and the iPhone alarms are way louder. I did buy a little tiny dock for my nightstand, which holds my watch into position, so that when I'm unconscious and trying to turn off the alarm, my watch isn't sliding across the entire nightstand. Overall, 1 year later, I still really like the watch. I use it every single day, and I couldn't imagine going back to not wearing the Apple Watch. I absolutely would recommend the Apple Watch to anyone who wants to have fitness tracking or just get notifications on your wrist. There's something really great about getting your notifications on your wrist and just seeing them there. I really like that. Read my article on my 1 year with the Apple Watch in Apple News. A link will be down below in the description. And please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think of the Apple Watch. If you've gotten an Apple Watch, if you're looking to get an Apple Watch. If you own one, tell me what you feel like after using it for a certain amount of time. And thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share this video.